Are we on? Are we on? Yes, we are on. I should certainly hope so. However, I do have to change the fluffing categories right now so no one gets the wrong idea. Hello, everyone! Come one, come all, come in general. This is Top Knot Analysis, your favourite YouTube video essayist reviewer talkie man on the YouTubes, Reddits, Tickety-Tockerinos, and assorted other sites I probably forget to use sometimes. Hello, good to have you with us. And, no, I'm not going to be playing Street Fighter today. I decided, for various reasons, mainly as an attempt to try to kick myself in the pants to do this more, I've fallen a little bit behind on my personal reading, so I thought, you know what, let's just read on stream for a bit. And lucky for me, one of the gallery pictures from the Street Fighters has a thing for reading, the perfect thumbnail for this exact situafication, if I do say so myself. You know what, I might even zoom that in a little bit. Oh, what the? There we go. Look at this. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, that's cute. Also, I might be biased because I recently finished watching What We Do in the Shadows. This little dude looks a bit like a young Guillermo. So that's nice. So yeah, we are today going to be reading some of the first Yangchen novel, the Avatar Yangchen novel from, yeah, because they made spin-off books. The Kyoshi ones are awesome, so yay. And because it's been a little while since I've read this, I'll try to summarize most of the key plot points up to this point as best I can. Right now, I'm slightly under halfway through the book. However, it's been a little while. Might be slightly rusty on places, but we shall see. So, off the top of my head, the plot goeth thusly. There's a young dude, waterbender dude, immigrant dude. Yeah, he's just a dude. He just seems like a nice dude. But yeah, basically, yeah, this waterbending dude who works as essentially a thief for hire, is contracted to steal some important political documents, and however, plot twist, it turns out the documents that this guy is forced to steal are actually the property of Avatar Yangchen, that generation's current avatar. So, yeah, he ends up getting caught, she ends up pardoning him, and instead, you know, seeming all nice and dainty, then she actually talks to him and is like, actually just being kind of manipulative and just like, yeah, I think it's interesting that you're not on the leash of any of my other big political rivals, so you can join up with me if you have an opening or else. And, yeah, don't worry about it. Here's payment up front. I'm sure everything will go perfectly well. So, that's how their relationship started. And this waterbender bloke is looking for his long-lost brother, because part of why this waterbending bloke and his family had to move to the Earth Kingdom was because they were working at some sort of dock, I believe, and essentially the older or younger, I think older brother, got wrapped up in some implied crimes, and so yeah. So it's going to be interesting to see how that sorts out. Meanwhile, Yangchen is also dealing with political subterfuge, and also in the beginning had some, like, mild rumblings of possibly being spiritually schizophrenic in a way, or something. Like she was on some exorcism shit in the first chapter, not gonna lie, and you know, and also one chapter when she was spying on someone Oh yeah, that's another thing in terms of the spying, because yes, my friend who has read all of the Avatar books has said that this, no, this Yangchen book is more of like a political spy thriller, versus the Kyoshi novels, which are, I would say, generally more like explorative action drama, which is selling them short, but you know that's the easiest way I could think to describe the Kyoshi books, even though they are amazeballs. Um, so yeah, what was I going to say? Uh, while Yang Chen was spying, we also got rumblings of the Unanimity Project, which we currently don't know what it is. Implications suggest that it may or may not be some sort of super weapon, or maybe something else entirely. All we know is that whatever it is, it could possibly bring down the Earth King, because that's another thing to keep in mind, because of the Platinum Affair. That's right, I'm going to talk about trade disputes. Like, if I put half as much effort into analyzing real-world economic politics as I did memorizing parts of this stuff, then, I don't know, I'd probably be on LBC for a bit, maybe. Anyway, so yeah. And going back a bit to laying the groundwork for Yang Chen's political rivals, they are the Shangs, or yeah, I believe it's either the Shangs or the Zhonduri. I use those words are meant to mean different things, but like they're not interchangeable. I think one is the group and the other is the individuals or the families. But yeah, basically I'll just go with the Zhongduri. The Zhongduri are essentially four major wealthy families from the different nations, you know, Earth Nation, Water Nation, the southern and northern water tribes, and the Air Nation, and Water, Air, Fire, Earth, yes. So basically each element has their own Zhonduri, and essentially these guys are the only known avenues for trade amongst the different countries at this point in time, and the reason for these more intense complications to trade and travel is because of this one little thing called the Platinum Affair, which again, it's been a while since I've read, but the broad strokes from what I'm mostly remembering is that in the Earth Kingdom there was some sort of coup or civil war or conflict that then led to one of the warlords borrowing a bunch of money and using it for his own gains, let's say, and not paying it back. So as a result, everyone got really mad and got at each other's throats, before eventually some nebulous time later thinking, okay, we still want some of your shit, so we'll have a little bit of trade as a treat. And as a result, immigration in this at this point of time in the universe has gotten bad, and stuff. And also wealth inequality, because the Zhonduri are also hoarding that shit, as as billionaires tend to do, just like in the real world. Wah wah wah. So yes, yeah, I think that's about all I remember. Yeah, I think that covers about everything, or at least most of the broad strokes, other than Waterbending Bloke and Yang Chen seem to be getting on a lot better now, and they seem to have good chemistry, and also they have visited one of the air temples. I believe it was the Southern Air Temple, which, if you've seen the original show, is a very interesting peek to that culture, considering by the time by the time we get to the Southern Air Temple in the animated show, it got it got fluffing bull-dongled by the Mechanist. And also, you know what? Speaking of that, of that episode from the series. Wow, I am just tangent citying this so hard right now, but whatever, it's cool. Speaking of that episode from the Mechanist of the Southern Air Temple, brief summary. Aang and the gang go to the Southern Air Temple, where Aang was from, and they find out that in the 100 years of Aang's slumber, a whole ass, like, small immigrant population have moved in there, like, taking apart parts of the Air Temple, and, you know, and to insert pipes and stuff through all of the murals and the paintings and the statues and stuff. And yeah. And then at the end of the episode, the moral of the story is, okay, yeah, but at the same time they're kind of like a hermit crab, because, I mean, no one else was here for hundreds of years, and they needed a place to stay, and, you know, it may be a shell now because no one's living here, but now it's a new home for another people who really need it, and that's very sweet. And in terms of my initial, I guess, viewpoints on that episode, like, I would say, like, okay, like, I'd say I have 3 stages of my views on that episode. Earlier stage was, like, unga bunga brained, just agreeing with everything the characters go through stage of initial, like, suspicion, identifying with Aang, and then still identifying with Aang when he comes to accept the Mechanist and his, I guess, society living there because they needed it, so fair enough. Second stage would be, number of years later, me looking back and remembering, oh, I've also moved house, and I remember when I was really young I wasn't very keen on the idea of moving house, but, you know, then smash cut to now, and I actually quite like it here a lot, where I am. So, you know, kind of like a little subconscious, like, moral story to remember for the future. And then flash forward a little further, and we come to the YouTuber Overanalyzing Avatar, who I like quite a lot, and his personal interpretation of that episode. I don't necessarily agree, but I do find it interesting as a point of discussion. Is essentially, he was more hardline, like, yo, no, it is actually still really bad that the Mechanist and all of his people didn't treat the air temples with respect, because because, like, would you install Wi-Fi and plumbing on Machu Picchu if you had to, or, like, you know, you know, like, isn't it a little bit messed up that they essentially went to what was once a sacred ground of a whole place's religion, and instead of attempting to preserve some of that history, they just decided to bojangle it into partial oblivion just because they needed a place to crash? And, yeah, like, yeah, I'd say that's an interesting point of discussion, because, like, on the one hand, it is good to have a little bit of, like, preservation, historical, so on and so forth. On the other hand, sometimes brothers got to eat. Although, that also begs the question, how the fluff did they get food up there? Because it's on a big-ass mountain, although granted, I mean, although it is also a whole society of flying people, quote, so I guess you could make the argument that food transportation isn't a half tricky thing to do, but still. But yeah. So, almost 15 minutes in, and I think it's probably about time I actually started reading, because another reason, I'm not sure if I mentioned, I've been a little bit behind on my reading of this book for a while, so yeah. Now that I have re-summarised everything, let's get back to the anglage of the Wangjangulage. So,